So I'm going to share my screen with you, and I will go through the work for the week. Just pulling up my screen share. And I'm going to show you, I'll walk you guys through in Schoology. So if you're in Schoology, it should look like this for you. And then we're in week 4. We're going to start the Constitution this week. And by tomorrow, I was hoping to have it up today, but I didn't get it quite ready with the weirdness of not having face-to-face classes. So I will have your summative up by tomorrow, and then we can talk about what the summative is going to be for this unit, because it's something that you can actually start working on. So we'll get that done. So for today, so I'm in Monday, September 21st folder. We have the reading is here, and remember, if you want to get to the reading, you have to first open up McGraw-Hill, log in, and I'll just show you. Sorry, it's taking a bit. So you're going to log into your student edition, and then it should be here, chapter 3, lesson 1, that you should be able to go there. Or I will also put every day, I will put the link. So let me just get back to that. So there's also a link here that you can, if you click on that, you'll be able to get to that link in the book, just to make it a little easier. Doesn't mean that you have to do it there, because the other place that you can go, sorry, even my computer's a little slow, there's a PDF, and that has all the reading in there too. And I also put a link to the slideshow for today. And the slideshow is just in a Google slide. So that's what I'll present today. If you guys have questions, pop in. Those of you that are in the Google Meet, go ahead and pop in and go ahead and ask questions. You can just ask them out loud, because right now I can't see the chat. So just unmute yourself and ask a question if you have questions. So I'm going to go through this. We have chapter 3, the Constitution. So that's what we'll be working on this week. You really do need to read this unit. So like I said, there'll be a PDF for each day that you can read that, or you can go to the book and read in there, but you really do need to do the reading. In the slideshow, it has the homework from last week. So there's even the link for Edupuzzle or Edpuzzle. So you can, right in the slideshow, you can go there. You can click on the link. And then there's the 2 quizzes in Schoology, which literally took one of the students that was in class that week, it took her like 2 minutes to do one of the quizzes, because she had just listened to the lecture. And then there's that civics test that needs to get done. You have to have that done before you graduate. I know it's 100 questions, and I know it seems a little bit overwhelming, but don't worry about it. If you don't pass it, you get to take it as many times as you need in order to pass it. So I had time Thursday in class to complete it, and we'll do it again towards the end of the trimester. But if you don't pass it, you just are going to have to keep taking it until you do. So go ahead and take it that first run and see how you do. And let me know if you have questions on that, because I can also open it up so that you can study and retake it again. I apologize, I have something in my eye. Okay.
I actually shut my computer because of something.
Yeah.
Shut up. I don't know what I missed. Were you just talking about like the civics exams?
Yep, that was last week.
Okay, I finished that.
You finished that? Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I just let in the slideshow here. There's, if I can go back, yeah, in the slideshow, and you can pull the slideshow up in Schoology. I think it just says slideshow for today. This is the work from last week.
Okay.
So if you missed anything, just go back and do it. It's fine. You have time. You just need to go into last week's folder and do the quizzes. So, and that's always going to be up there. And I'll make sure that you have access to it, and you'll have access to take the quizzes up until the summatives due. And the summative will be due at the end of next week. So we still have some time.
All right. So for this week, is there a slide for this week like there was last week?
Yep.
Then?
Yep. So if you go, let's see, can I get out of here for a second?
I'm just gonna do it with you. So like, and I'm doing.
If I exit here, let me just get a second here. If you go in Schoology,
That was my sister.
all right. So if you guys go in Schoology, we're in week 4 now. So all the work for today is in week 4, and whoever that is, I'm gonna mute you if they keep talking. So okay, I'm gonna go back to that slideshow and share. So okay.
Miss Davis?
Yeah.
Am I still good for the civics test?
Yeah, Jessica, you're done. You don't have to. You're good.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So for today, there is a Google Doc, and it's kind of like that last Google Doc. And there's a link to this in Schoology again. There's a link, required assignment. And you can just save a copy for yourself. And then what you have to do is list out the articles of the Constitution. And there's a basic definition of what they do. And I'll show you where that is in the slideshow. And then the principles of the Constitution are here. So once again, you want to give a definition, an example. And when you're done with that, you can either download it to Schoology or just share it back to me with your name on it instead of, so you would put your name here. So that's the assignment for today. And once again, just like that one we did last week with there was a whole lot more. There was 12 different principles of democracy. It's something that we're going to come back to time and again. So it's something that you can keep. And then when you get back to school, if you want to print it out and put it in your notes, or you can print it out at home, I don't care. It'll be there for you because we'll be referring back to that. And these terms are going to show up in your summative. So it's just important that you guys have that and get that done. Okay, so that's the homework for today. Okay, and then we're just gonna, if we were in class, we'd have a conversation. We can certainly have a conversation. I'll wait and see if people jump in. And if not, I'll just kind of talk things through. And just know that this is in your slideshow and you can do this. You can come back to this if you have questions. So the first words of the U.S. Constitution are "we the people." Then the document goes on to explain why the Constitution was written and why the government is structured as it is. It also lays out rights the people have to be protected from the government. This Constitution was written in 1787 and became the law of the land in 1789. So, which people do you think the founders had in mind when they created and enacted the Constitution? So if anybody wants to jump in now and say who those people were back in 1787, go ahead and just jump in and say.
White men.
White men. Yep, there you go. Whoever said that is exactly right. I'm going to, I don't know if somebody else joined our little merry group here. Oh, now we've got lots of people on. Hello, everybody. I'm just looking here who's all. Hello, everybody. So yeah, we're going through the slideshow for today's class, so just jump in. Yeah, so originally, the Constitution was white males that had the rights that were in the Constitution. Which people do you think the Constitution applies to and protects now? Does anybody want to? What's that?
Everyone.
Everyone. It should protect everyone. Some things apply to everyone, some things apply to citizens. And so there are a few things that if you are an undocumented immigrant, you wouldn't have the same protections, but a lot of the things, it doesn't matter if you're in this country legally, illegally, or if you're just visiting from another country, you have those same protections. I know it hasn't looked like it with the news and things that have been going on lately. And if we were in class, we could have a long conversation on that, but it does apply to everyone now. And there's been amendments passed along the way that made that a reality. And we're going to talk about the amendments as we go. So, okay. So the structure of the Constitution, so we have the Articles of Confederation, which we talked about last week. That didn't work. Under King George III, who was king when the American Revolution was going on, the founders learned to fear government with too much power. So when they wrote the Articles of Confederation, they didn't give the federal government a whole lot of power because they didn't want the government to have as much power as the king did. So they created that central government with limited power. And then they created, during the Constitutional Convention, the Constitution, which consists of the preamble, which you guys actually did as an assignment your first week of class, 7 articles and a series of amendments. And that's what we'll be talking about this week, is those different articles and the amendments. Today is just kind of an overview of everything. This link, if you guys do have the slideshow open, links you to the actual written Constitution of the United States. So you can take a look at that on your own time. There's also, you can find the actual written Constitution in your book. We're not going to go through all of that today because that's what we'll be doing throughout this week. Once again, this is in your book also. According to the preamble, what are the people of the United States doing? So all of you, or most of you, completed, like you read the preamble and then you put it into your own words. I'm just going to reread it again. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. And the question, what are the people's goals? I think you guys did a really nice job answering when you did your summaries of this. Domestic tranquility means that we ensure that the people in our nation get along and can work together for the common good. Common defense would be providing defense of our nation with our military. Promoting the general welfare is making sure that if people can't do for themselves, that the government steps in to help. And secure the blessings of liberty. We are a free people and have those freedoms and protections. And many of those are outlined in the amendments to the Constitution. To ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution. So this was just that first paragraph of the Constitution of the United States that said, we're going to establish this nation for our people. Okay, then this is, actually you won't see this part of the slideshow in your book. There's just a basic actually I take that back. You won't see these in the PDF, it is in the book, and it's also here in the slideshow if you want to refer back to it. But going back to your assignment for today to ask for the Articles of the Constitution, all I want from you is Article 1, Legislative Branch, establishes a legislative branch to make laws. You don't need to write all of this in there unless you want to, but you certainly don't have to. As we go through this week, this is what we're going to be focusing on. We're going to be focusing on these different branches of the Constitution. So the legislative branch is Article 1. It makes the laws, creates Congress, describes 2 houses of Congress, etc. So we're going to go through Congress, and actually our next unit after we're done with this first unit is all on the legislative branch. So once again, this is just an overview of what's to come. Article 2 is the executive branch. It was established to carry out the laws. So, and it talks about the president. The president is part of our executive branch, who can become president how the president and vice are elected. And then there's a whole nother administration part of the executive branch that we'll talk about once again when we talk about the executive branch. The judicial branch establishes the Supreme Court. We just had a Supreme Court justice die over the weekend, Ruth Ginsburg, who was fundamental to women's rights in our Constitution. She was an advocate for those that didn't have advocates. She died at 87 years old, and right now, we may or may not have President Trump be able to appoint another member of Congress. In my opinion, he shouldn't be able to, because a Supreme Court member died when Obama was still president, and because the Senate was controlled by Republicans, it was 11 months where we only had 10 sitting judges, or 8 sitting judges on our Supreme Court. Once again, this would be a great conversation to have if we were face-to-face, and it might be one we have when we get back to some face-to-face instruction too. So anyway, just check out the news and look up Ruth Bader Ginsburg and just see all the amazing things that she's done in her life as a Supreme Court justice and before. The 4th article deals with relationships between the states. If you remember the Articles of Confederation, the states were kind of doing their own thing without a whole lot of guidance from the federal government. So the 4th article establishes those relationships. What can the national government do, and what can states do? Articles 5, 6, and 7 talk about the amendment process, the national supremacy, meaning that the Constitution ultimately is the supreme law of the land. And the last one talked about the ratification of the Constitution. And that was done, so that's one we won't really look into. It's just how does the Constitution get ratified, and it was ratified back in 1789. But this one, the National Supremacy Clause, it's important because throughout this class, hopefully we'll be able to look at some Supreme Court cases. Those are cases where somebody did something, so it's not somebody kills somebody and goes to prison for that. These are looking at the constitutionality of laws. So your freedom of speech, your freedom of the press, your right to petition, looking at your right to bear arms, your Miranda rights. So if you get arrested, what has to be done in order for you to even be arrested and put in jail before your court even happens? So the Supremacy Clause says that no matter what laws happen across the nation, they have to fit under the Constitution of the United States. Okay, then this is something that's for your assignment too, are the principles of the Constitution. So there's 6 principles of the Constitution. Popular sovereignty, it's based on the rule by the people, meaning that the power of the Constitution rests in the hands of the people. And we have the right to change that based on who we elect to represent us in government. Republicanism, when you're looking at that as a term in government, doesn't mean Republican versus Democrat Party. A republic just means that we elect people to represent us in government versus everybody having to vote on everything for everything. So in other words, when laws are made, every citizen in the United States doesn't vote on those laws. We vote on representatives to Congress to vote on those laws. That's what a republic is. Okay, the next principle that's important to know and understand is limited government. The Constitution actually limits the power of the national government. It gives some of the power of government to states, municipalities, cities, towns. You live in Monroe or near Monroe. So if you live in Monroe, Monroe has its own city council, has its own police department. We also have county sheriffs, we have state police, and we have like our national military. So the government or the Constitution lays that out in broad terms, and then we understand that the government does encompass everything, but it gives some of that power to local. Federalism. it's another way of saying that the government and the power of the government is divided between federal, national governments, and state governments. We're gonna probably not, there's a whole chapter on federalism, which normally if we were face-to-face we would cover. Being in this class will cover the basics of that. And you'll see that throughout this class that the federal government has some power and the state has some power. When you're talking about separation of power, you're talking about the three branches of government. So you're talking about the legislative, executive, and judicial branches, all having powers that can check each other, which is the next term, checks and balances. So the legislative branch makes the laws. The president can check that by vetoing a law. The Supreme Court can jump in and say, even though the law was passed, it's unconstitutional. So they can strike down a law. So that's just one way that checks and balances work, and it works in many, many aspects of the government. And as we go through our next 3 units are the legislative, executive, and judicial branches. We'll look at some of those checks while we're there. And then the final part of the Constitution is that we have individual rights as individual human beings living in America. And the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, called the Bill of Rights, are probably the ones that you're most familiar with. And then there are 27 total amendments that protected the rights of the people after that. And some of them included like giving African Americans and all citizens of color citizenship in America. It gave people of color the right to vote so that all people could vote. And at first it was all men, and then there's another amendment giving women the right to vote, which sadly didn't come until 1920. And there's other rights in there that you as U.S. citizens, those are protections that you have. And you'll see that the last statement is, but it's balanced with the government's need to protect the public good, meaning that even though citizens have these rights, they don't have rights to just do anything. So you can't kill, murder, pillage, steal, like those kinds of things. Your rights as a citizen of this nation are limited by some of those things. Okay, and then maybe you guys can do a shout out to me and we can do this together. So we have some examples there, and I'd like you to try and use different examples when you're filling out your that sheet that I shared with you guys. But today, those of you that are logged in, which is most of the class, if you can just help me match these, that would be great. So feel free to unmute yourselves and shout out now. So the U.S. Department, so we're looking for the constitutional principle that's on the right-hand column. So the first one is the U.S. Department of Agriculture inspects meat processing plants that sell across state lines, while local public health departments inspect restaurants. Which one do you guys think that is? Anybody? Anybody still there?
Limited government.
Okay. Limited government. Anybody think anything else?
Federalism.
Federalism? Okay. Okay, it's probably one of those things. So I'll put, this was first, so I'll put that one in there. Citizens may speak freely, worship, and petition the government.
Individual rights.
Good. The president may veto laws, Congress may override vetoes, and the judiciary may rule on the constitutionality.
Checks and balances.
Good. Certain powers are given to the national government, certain are withheld from the national government. Federalism. And so the last one would be the executive, legislative, and judicial branch each have different responsibilities. Okay, let's see. You are correct. Oh, wait, we mixed up two. I lied.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Federalism was the first one.
Government and federalism.
Yep. They're really close, though, so there's nothing I will do on a summative that makes you guys get mixed up on something like that. Okay. Okay, and that's it for today. Does anyone have any questions?
No.
No?
No.
No? Okay, I'm going to stop my screen sharing really quick. And I'm going to get back to so I can see you guys. All right. So is there anything anybody needs help with, has questions with?
No.
No? Okay. So the big thing I would say is that please just make sure that you guys are keeping up. Today's assignment, I know it might take, it's a longer one because it's a written thing, but it's an important one because these principles are things we're going to be coming back to. If you missed quizzes from last week, just go back and get week 3, check in each day and make sure that you have the assignment done for that day. Remember, there's a change this year from last year that once we hit the summative, you're not going to be able to redo anything that was due until that point. Also, I've tried to put little notes on formatives where you have written work to either say, great job, this is right, or if you're missing something, I tried to put notes to say like what you're missing or maybe what you should think about. The quizzes are not hard. You just need to, do the reading and they should be pretty easy and self-explanatory. So, does anyone else have any questions? Okay.
No.
This whole lecture will be, I'm recording it in Screencastify. So I'm going to put it on, I'll put the link, it'll be a YouTube link that you can go to if you missed something or want to go back to it. But pretty much everything I covered is in Monday's folder for today. The slideshow's in there. So if you need anything, you can just go ahead and log in there and check it out. So. Okay. Otherwise, for those of you who have me third hour, I'll log in then, or you can stay on now if I've got you third hour, and we can chat, and then you won't have to log in third hour. So, otherwise, okay. So that's Jess and Amelia. Otherwise, everybody else, I will see you tomorrow unless you have questions. Okay. So for Jess and Amelia, I've got those practice tests in there. Did you get a chance to do them?
I haven't yet.
Okay. That's fine. So that's totally fine. That's something you can work on this week then.
Okay.
But because you logged into this class, you don't need to log into third hour if you don't want to. I'll have the Google Meet up, but if you don't show up, I'm not going to mark you absent. So. Okay. Cool beans. Yeah, just try and get those done this week, and then I can kind of see where you're at.
All right.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
All right. See ya. Yep, see ya, Amelia. Cheyenne, you can log off if you want, kiddo. Otherwise, I might just.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, kiddo. We'll see you tomorrow. And let me know if you need anything. Okay. Alrighty.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, Jessica. I might have to talk to Mr. Brown about getting you set up for that Read 180 because I don't know how to do it. So we'll try and get that added for you this week and get you instructions on how to get logged into that.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go into your GED file today and see if I can get you logged in so you can take the practice science test. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. So, yeah, I like seeing your face. So I'll do that. Actually, I can do that right after we get done talking.
Okay.
Well, here, let's just do it together. Maybe you can, is your login just your school login?
Yeah.
Okay, let me screen share again. Oh, I gotta stop Screencastify.